Hello everyone. So I am here today to speak about a very important transit that we've been experiencing since August. But first I wanted to mention a couple of things. Now, to those who have asked me about readings, yes, I'm still doing readings. Yeah, one more thing. I very seldom use Facebook, so thanks for adding, but it's better if you find me on Instagram, because I add notifications of main transits coming up on my Instagram account, so feel free to follow me there. Now, yeah, lastly, I had some delays in making and uploading videos due to some very unexpected travel that came up for me. But I'm back doing that now. So let's talk about this transit, because this is a very important transit that's been happening for a while, and it's going to impact us until the third week of February. So still worth speaking about. Yeah, let's get into this. Okay. Now, this transit started when Mars went into, and when I say this transit, I'm not just talking about Mars movement, but I'm talking about its very turbulent movement. And this, I would pinpoint it to when Mars went into Gandanta on August the 13th at 29 degrees of Pisces, and stayed in that Gandanta position until August the 20th, when it moved into 1 degree of Aries. For the first few weeks when Mars was in Aries, it was connecting with Jupiter and the Sun in a trinal, bringing confidence, maybe some progress, maybe sort of you took some initiatives at that time, because there was a lot of fire energy. Yeah. At the same time that this was happening, it was making very stressful connections with the outer planets. So although you may have felt ready to take some action, you would have run into many obstacles and unexpected outcomes in some cases. In fact, we've already experienced 2 stressful connections with Saturn during this transit of Mars, and we'll have the final one with Mars and Saturn in odds with each other on January the 12th. Which, when Mars and Saturn are in odds, it always suggests obstructions and obstacles, and it's that push-pull energy, right? Where Mars wants to forge ahead and Saturn wants to pull back. So then, of course, when we pass that Gandanta period, we are still experiencing Mars retrograde transit, which started on September the 10th. And then, of course, again, we had the Gandanta period from 30th of September till 6th of October. This also coincided with Ketu in Gandanta at the same time. Essentially, this is intensified, pure, concentrated energy that is completely blocked or stuck and asks for some kind of surrender in our life, depending on what Mars and Ketu represent in your chart and where they're placed. So when you have such potent energies crossing the Gandanta zones, you can be sure that the blocks that you've had in these areas will surface in your life, right? For those that are not familiar with what the Gandanta zone is, it's basically that the end of water and the beginning of fire. And the reason it's regarded as that is that that's when the sign, the Rashi changes, and therefore it's a completely different energy. And that when you have planets crossing that zone, a lot of, especially if they're malefics, like we're talking about here with Mars and Ketu, a lot of very kind of unexpected, fated events can arise in your life that have been lingering for a long time. Like they're issues that have been lingering for a long time, and they can kind of sort of bubble up to the surface. in any ways, we're talking about Mars and Ketu, which are very, very, very fiery energy. So it could result in explosions, and sometimes, in fact, in nature also we see like floods and earthquakes and tornadoes and volcanoes and things like that happening when the planets cross that zone. In your life, it can bring very sort of like what you would call not just like a karmic retribution, like where it's something that has been blocked for so long just kind of spills over and you have to deal with it. It can also be the opposite, whereas that energy or that issue that's connected to Mars and Ketu can get really, really blocked, and that blocked energy can get more and more intensified. So it has to erupt at some point, right? But it may not have erupted yet. We're going to have another Gandanta phase too. So so that's why it's very important to kind of like, even if you're in a situation where you're trying to forge ahead but you're not able to, it's very important to surrender at this time, because you're not going to get the like what you think. No matter how much you plan, you're not going to get the results that you're seeking. So so you can choose to release. You can choose to release, or you can continue to face it and fight it. So it's kind of up to you. But you won't be able to ignore those issues pertaining to where Mars and Ketu sits in your chart, or what houses it represents. Like what is the lordship of Aries and Scorpio, for example, for you? You have to look at that. It can also bring anger, frustration in the areas that Mars and Ketu represents. In the sign of Aries, Mars is very individualistic. So a good strategy is, of course, to recognize some of your own limits and boundaries and adjust accordingly. And the areas that Mars represents for you again. Now, whereas Ketu in Scorpio is quite destructive energy and will rip through all the old patterns here. So see what Scorpio is in your chart. And if you're unable to take action or make adjustments, then give Mars something to do to release that pent-up energy. Anything sort of physical, vigorous, any activity. So Mars will turn direct on November the 14th and then go back into Aries on December the 24th. And once again, for the final time, we will experience this Gandanta energy that I've been talking about as it glides back into Aries. But then we can finally forge ahead with our plans and feel more secure in the areas that Mars has represented for us, because it's already done that back and forth, especially on top of it added that retrograde period, which we're currently experiencing. So anything that was blocked in those areas you will resolve you should resolve by December. At least you will know which way to go and what action to take. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about all of the ascendants now, and sort of just briefly talk about what this transit means for you. So Aries ascendant. So this is the Lagna Lord for you. Very important transit. So the feeling of being blocked can be related to your life purpose, your life path. Confidence can be low. It can bring blocks and frustrations for implementing plans in your career as well, right? Because of the Saturn connection that I spoke about, that has been going on and off with Mars. Especially now, Mars is in Pisces and it's being aspected by Saturn. So the Saturn connection continues, even though it's only at 3 junctures that they really connect. But beyond that, it continues because Saturn is aspecting Mars very closely from Capricorn to Pisces. So it's not really a good time for any kind of financial risks or career-related risks starts either. So, but planning is good. Taurus ascendant, it's 7th lord, navigating between the 12th and the 11th house, which could mean letting go of very unhealthy, toxic attachments and relationships. And if you've had a breakup of sorts, which would not be surprising in this period because of everything going on, especially with Ketu also involved, then I would say take it slow to start something new. Don't get into another relationship full throttle till after this transit is over, even if you meet someone that you like. So wait till February. Gemini ascendant, you have the 6th Lord transiting between the 11th and the 10th house. This is good for making profits. What I would say is be cautious of quick money schemes and underhanded ways of making money, as you have Saturn's aspect here, and this could bring unexpected consequences later down the line. For Cancer ascendant, you have the 5th, 10th Lord in the 9th and the 10th house, going back and forth between the 9th and the 10th house. So this can bring ups and downs in career. You may take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, so it can be a bit frustrating in this regard. It can also bring some challenges in travel as well as your own business. Okay, so it is, however, an excellent time to study, and also for any spiritual practice you wanted to start or resume for Cancer ascendants. For Leos have the 4th, 9th Lord transiting between the 9th and the 8th house. There could be losses in property matters. You may move during this time as well. Misfortune could result if you're making money unethically. So watch out for that. And this transit can lead to some instability generally in finances. It could also result in some emotional ups and downs, especially with Ketu's presence in the 4th house. Yeah. For Virgo, Mars is a malefic planet, and moving through the 8th house can result in sudden changes in life, not only undesirable, but also difficult, leading to a final dissolution of old ways of doing things. So there's kind of a transformation there, and a very deep transformation, which could be in the areas of business, finance, ups and downs. But ultimately, transit will give a lot of courage to face these changes. Yeah, and come out on top. For Libra, Mars is a Marca planet in charge of the 2nd and 7th house, moving through the 7th and 6th house. So it could again result in a breakup of old relationships. You may also see relationships and people from the past re-emerge in your life at this time. There can be adjustments with wealth and how you make money. Change in job could easily happen right now. For Scorpio, you may be experiencing this unstable move of your Lagna Lord in many ways. So Ketu and Mars both rule Scorpio, and they've both been moving through that Gandanta zone. So most important area to be watched for is health issues. So I would say take it slow, don't overdo it. It's also not a good time for any kind of financial risks either for Scorpios. For Sagittarius, 5th, 12th Lord in 5th house, so it could lead to a lot of unnecessary expenses, especially if you have children. The expenses could be related to your children. It can also lead to business losses, so don't get involved in any kind of get rich quick schemes, as you could be tempted to do so at this time. For Capricorn, you can experience some changes in your residence. Domestic life will be shaken up here, and it could result in a sudden move as well. If you're studying, then your education could be interrupted. Don't invest in real estate at the moment, even if you find the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen. And then do some sort of sadhana for peace of mind, as your emotions could feel very rattled at this time. For Aquarius, be cautious with travel, as this could cause some losses. Relationship with siblings may also be chaotic at this time. Any new ventures should wait until after this transit. Your willpower and confidence will be high at this time, so watch for impulsive actions. You may not get the results you want, so wait until after Christmas to act. Yeah. For Pisces, this can have an adverse effect on income and savings. So it's also a test of faith regarding family issues, earnings, anything like that, any second house. So it could bring some disappointments here. Yeah, but like I said, another 2 months or so, and you'll see some positive results with this transit. Overall, for everyone, this transit is a big opportunity actually to reassess the areas that are connected with Mars in your chart. Because most of this transit, it's a very, very, very strong Mars, and it's forcing us to deeply understand and make changes to all the areas that Mars is representing in your chart, and it applies to both rulerships here, right? The Scorpio as well as the Aries. So for instance, if you're Leo Lagna, then Ketu is your 4th lord, and Mars is your 4th and your 9th lord. So both those areas will be impacted. The challenging aspects from outer planets and Saturn throughout this very turbulent transit will mean no going back. So whatever you decide now is going to be something that will have consequences for a long time to come. So basically the old ways of doing things has to be transformed, and many of us will feel kind of powerless during the transit regarding all that is represented by Mars, and be forced to deal with these outstanding areas of life once and for all. It's too long of a transit and too intense of a transit to be ignored, so it demands some kind of change. So if you're a bit reflective and can put aside the frustrations it may have brought, then you can make some lasting change, especially in your material life. And at least our perception will change regarding the areas that are impacted by Mars in our chart, right? So you might have like kind of an epiphany of sorts, where like an area of life that perhaps has been troubling you for a while, and an issue has been troubling you for a while. So you may come to some kind of peaceful conclusion about it come December. So that's sort of a brief snapshot of this very tumultuous long transit. We're about halfway there, nearly halfway there, so I would say hang in there. All the best, folks. Cheers, bye.